I'm finna do the intro. Let's boot it up the stream.
Which one we reacted to first? That one?
Yeah, having humans invent guns.
What's good, y'all?
Man,
As you can see, we finna get a little reaction going. Simple as pie. So, we finna learn how the humans invent guns. Cause I have been wondering how they invented guns, bro. I'm like, how did certain countries have the guns before certain countries, bro?
facts, bro. Some niggas had ARs before.
Who
Some
even
niggas
thought
still
of the
told
gun?
muskets, bro. Like, what the hell?
Who thought of, cause they had the spears, they probably had some cannons. He was like, how can I get this in my hand and really get up close? He was a devious person for thinking that way, man.
Had to, nigga. I know the first nigga who invented a gun, but that nigga's dangerous as fuck.
He had the mind of the
That nigga
right
had an
type
evil
of
intent.
mind.
Dead ass.
That nigga was trying to open some heads, bro. That nigga was not going for the far distance, bro.
Word. Come on,
Let's get it poppin'.
to it.
Love Roblox? Earn Roblox digital gift cards with micro.
You said, do you love Roblox? Maybe not. They say he did not press this video.
In the 9th century, somewhere in the mountains of Sichuan or Shanxi province in China, a group of Taoist alchemists were trying to do something that had absolutely nothing to do with warfare. They were trying to live forever. Convinced that the right combination of minerals could produce an elixir of immortality, they spent years mixing, heating, and experimenting with whatever substances
pause.
they could get their hands.
So you telling me the Chinese had the guns first, bro?
Oh yeah, facts. Let me lock in.
Them niggas cold as hell, bro. Don't tell me the Chinese had the gun first, bro.
Let me lock in, bro. Facts.
They
Let me
need way
peep.
more respect.
I mean, I can believe it, bro. They more advanced than we are now.
Nigga, they
they
had
the
the
most
time.
advanced population.
Nigga, they was already killing people with katanas and shit. So
Yeah, like, bro. These niggas already had
Samurai
crazy
was
shit
like,
going
nah, I
on.
need that blick.
I don't think it was. You think it was samurai?
The
I don't think it
ancient
was
China?
samurai, bro. I don't think it was ancient
They had
Chinese.
Chinese samurai, twin.
We're about to figure it out.
In the
I mean, they
9th
did.
century, somewhere in the mountains of Sichuan or
But I
Shanxi
feel like them
province in
niggas
China,
specifically
a group
stuck
of
with
Taoist
swords,
alchemists
and
were
they-
trying to do
them-
something that had absolutely nothing to
Taoist
do with
alchemy.
warfare.
What is that?
They were trying to live forever. Convinced that the right combination of minerals could
Hey,
produce
these
an
niggas
elixir
weird
of
shit.
immortality, they spent years mixing, heating, and experimenting with whatever substances they could get their hands on, following recipes passed down through generations of mystical and medicinal tradition. At some point, one particular batch combined 3 ingredients: saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur. And instead of granting eternal life,
This is how you
that
make
mixture
gunpowder,
did
yo?
something considerably more dramatic. It exploded. There are accounts of singed beards and burned down workshops scattered through the early historical record, which tells you everything you need to know about how that first encounter actually went. Nobody in that room was trying to invent a weapon. They called the resulting substance
What?
huo ya, meaning fire medicine. A name
Fire
that
medicine?
But that was
Damn, so before they even really had guns, they were just like toting around gunpowder and like all this shit.
wow.
Damn,
Yeah.
okay, that makes more sense though. That actually does make sense because like I feel like later on they're probably gonna talk about how they made bombs. And they're probably using these bitches as bombs first, and then they probably compacted that bitch into what's it called?
Oh, bro.
Into guns.
Bro, and I don't know what I was about to say. He said they was trying to live forever and created something dangerous, bro. That's why you don't play like that, bro. You gonna create something you didn't know was happening.
I don't know.
But that's just science, though. I think.
carries the faint, slightly embarrassing memory of its original purpose as a failed pharmaceutical rather than a future engine of conquest. And yet that one
fried,
accidental
though. They were
beard
trying to make some
singeing
shit
batch
for
of
health,
failed
ended up making some
immortality
shit for
medicine
gun.
eventually became the single most consequential chemical discovery in the history of human conflict. The seed
Shit.
from which every gun, every cannon, and eventually every firearm on Earth would grow. So how did humans get from a failed potion in a Taoist alchemy lab to the firearm? The answer takes us through bamboo tubes strapped
What
to
the
spears.
fuck?
A siege that proved the new technology.
Imagine a nigga running at you with one of these bitches.
I think the Chinese did do that shit.
Yeah, what
Bamboo
the
stick,
fuck?
they said the most strong as hell.
Bro, yeah, bamboo's strong as a bitch. Imagine a nigga running at you with one of these, nigga. I'd have been scared as
Throwing
a
that
bitch.
bitch at your boat.
Fuck! Nigga not catching
through
that bitch.
bamboo tubes strapped to spears.
You gotta
A
think, it's
siege
probably
that
filled with
proved
nothing but
the new
gunpowder, sulfur, and that other
technology
shit, bro.
actually
Straight
worked.
explosion. That
Several
shit probably hurt
centuries
worse
of
than a
careful
gun do.
refinement and a slow, steady migration of knowledge
That
across
shit
an
really hit you,
entire
that shit just
continent
explode
that
your body.
eventually reshaped the balance of power on every inhabited landmass on Earth. Let's start with what that early gunpowder mixture actually was, in the simplest possible terms, because understanding the basic chemistry helps explain why everything that followed happened the way it did.
okay.
The mixture
Chemistry
those
shit now,
alchemists
yeah?
stumbled onto combined potassium nitrate, known as
Potassium
saltpeter,
nitrate.
with charcoal and sulfur, in roughly a 75 to 15 to 10 ratio by weight. The saltpeter functioned as an oxidizer, meaning it released oxygen rapidly when heated, feeding an extremely fast combustion reaction that produced a sudden
So this saltpeter shit is the main shit that really, feel me, brings together the gunpowder. Without saltpeter, bro, you can see there's only 50% charcoal and 10% sulfur. If no saltpeter's in that bitch, bro, your gun not going, bro. Whatever you trying to use, bro. Saltpeter is clearly some explosive type mineral, bro. That shit crazy.
You got saltpeter, you can make bullets in the crib.
Facts though, like, bro, you don't even need that much charcoal or sulfur. You do just need that saltpeter though.
ratio by weight. The saltpeter functioned as an oxidizer, meaning it released oxygen rapidly when heated, feeding an extremely fast combustion reaction that produced a sudden, violent expansion of gas. That expanding gas is the entire secret behind everything gunpowder would eventually be used for, whether that meant launching fireworks into the night sky or eventually launching a metal projectile out of a tube with enough force to punch through armor. In its earliest documented uses, gunpowder wasn't weaponized at all. It was used for fireworks, smoke signals, and festival entertainment, exactly the kind of celebratory, decorative application
That's
you'd
what I
expect from
like.
something originally discovered by monks chasing immortality rather than military engineers chasing battlefield advantage. For generations, ordinary people across China encountered this substance primarily as spectacle rather than threat, lighting up festivals and religious ceremonies with bursts
China
of
be
color
having
and
that.
noise that had nothing
Cause China got them long day festivals, bro.
That do make sense.
Let me tell y'all, bro. When I was selling fidgets in high school, bro, when China was doing their New Year's festival, I couldn't get all my packages, my fidgets from China, cause they don't ship out. When they have festivals, it's so international, man. They known for the fireworks, man.
That is true. China is known for the fireworks.
with combat
And
at all.
festivals.
That changed once military commanders during the Song dynasty got a look at what this volatile new substance could actually do. Between the 10th and 12th centuries, Chinese engineers developed something called the Huo Qiang, or fire lance.
The
And the design
fire
was genuinely
lance.
about as simple as a
Bamboo and
weapon could
gunpowder, that's all
possibly
it
be. Take a
needs.
length of bamboo, strap it firmly to the end of a spear, pack the tube with gunpowder, and light it during close combat. The result was a polearm that spewed
no.
flame
Yeah,
and burning
what
debris
the
directly
fuck?
at anyone within arm's reach, turning an ordinary spear into something considerably more terrifying to face in a melee. Defenders
That's
used fire
dope.
lances during the siege of Daean in 1132 against attacking forces climbing their walls, and by every account, the weapon worked
fascinating.
exactly as intended, scorching and
Right.
disorienting attackers in a way conventional spears simply couldn't match. The psychological effect alone was
Imagine charging into somebody's shit with a spear. Think you kitted up, ready to go. Everybody got OD spears. They come through that bitch. It don't even look like no spear. Like it's bamboo with a fucking another piece of bamboo attached to it.
He just pointing that bitch at you.
I didn't nigga, you not ready to go. Came up and blew his face off.
Soldiers who had spent their entire lives training to fight with blades and spears suddenly found themselves facing an enemy who could project fire itself.
It mattered
That
no
kind of
more,
shock
bro.
often mattered as much on a medieval battlefield as the actual physical damage inflicted. Once gunpowder had proven
yeah.
itself useful in actual combat, the pace of innovation accelerated quickly, and each successive improvement followed a fairly logical, almost obvious next step from whatever came before it. Makers of fire lances began stuffing pellets and shards of pottery into the bamboo tubes alongside the
shit.
gunpowder, transforming a weapon that simply produced flame into one that also flung small projectiles outward with real force.
Damn. So they didn't have bullets yet, bro. When the bullets start coming around, there any like actual things that specifically go in them bitches, bro?
After the glass and shit, I was like, bro, let's just put this bitch in a metal thing. She gonna shoot fast as hell.
You about to see, bro.
genuinely significant conceptual leap because it shifted the weapon's purpose from pure intimidation and burning toward actual physical, penetrating injury delivered at a distance. The foundational concept underlying every firearm that would eventually follow. The next major limitation was the bamboo itself, which simply couldn't handle the pressure that more powerful gunpowder charges generated without splitting or bursting apart in the user's own hands, occasionally injuring the very soldier wielding it. Once Chinese craftsmen learned to cast bronze tubes strong enough to contain that pressure safely, the hand cannon was born. A weapon that
The hand cannon was the first
craftsman?
What you mean?
What country?
It was Chinese again.
bronze tube, only injuring the very soldier wielding it. Once Chinese craftsmen
Chinese.
Damn, China.
What the fuck?
I salute y'all, man.
That's the first pipe was the hand cannon though?
I remember the hand cannon used to go crazy in Fortnite.
But what? That bitch used to do OD damage. That was the best gun at one point.
Wasn't it purple?
Yeah. They had a legendary one too. You got both of them bitches. It was over with, bro. Them bitches used to do it.
learned to cast bronze tubes strong enough to contain that pressure safely, the hand cannon was born. A weapon that used the expanding gas from gunpowder combustion to launch a single solid projectile with considerably more force and considerably more range than any bamboo fire lance ever could. By the 13th century, metal-barreled hand cannons were already in regular use across China, representing a genuine technological leap in both reliability and effectiveness compared to the earlier bamboo-based weapons. Chinese engineers also scaled the same basic concept upward, producing devices with names like the Thunderclap Bomb and the Heaven-Shaking Cannon, weapons capable of delivering
Thunderclap bomb.
The Chinese had the first bomb too?
Nah, them niggas was going crazy.
Yo, what the fuck? I know going to war in China early on was hell, but I know they was fucking niggas up.
Bro, what? That nigga, who was that one Chinese emperor, man? He took down half the population, bro.
What's his name?
Man, y'all know him, man.
Is that Genghis?
Yeah, Genghis
Yeah,
Khan,
bro,
bro.
Genghis,
He
bro.
dropped the fucking whatever.
Yeah, that nigga was going crazy. You think he had this shit though?
Thunderclap Bomb
yeah.
and the Heaven-Shaking Cannon,
gonna say,
weapons
it might
capable of delivering genuinely
Yeah.
high-impact explosions on a battlefield and reducing fortified positions that had previously seemed unassailable. When the Mongols invaded China in the 1200s, they encountered these gunpowder weapons firsthand during sieges like the famous defense of Kaifeng in 1232, and the experience left a lasting impression. Rather than simply being defeated
them
by
niggas are
new
scared for
technology,
life
the
after that
Mongols
shit.
absorbed it, and once they had conquered China and established the Yuan dynasty, they carried gunpowder weaponry with them as they pushed westward into new conquests across Asia and toward the Islamic world. This is genuinely one of history's more important
Them niggas
and
started taking
underappreciated
over after they
technology
made that
transfers,
shit. Them
because
niggas knew
Mongol
what was up.
military campaigns functioned almost
realized
like an
what it was.
accidental
They made them
delivery
bitches.
system.
Damn.
Fuck. Look, quick,
EVE Online is a
Oh,
vault.
no, they don't.
Carrying gunpowder knowledge across enormous distances far
five,
faster
six.
than trade caravans or diplomatic exchanges ever could have managed on their own, spreading a Chinese invention across the breadth of Eurasia within the span of just a few generations. It's also worth noting that gunpowder weapons didn't develop along a single straight line during this period. Alongside hand cannons and fire lances, Chinese military engineers also developed rockets and fire arrows, gunpowder-propelled projectiles that found use not just in China, but
Yeah,
eventually in
what the
Korea
fuck?
and India as well,
Yeah.
traveling along separate but overlapping routes from the hand cannon's own path westward. These rocket weapons never fully disappeared the way the fire lance eventually did once true guns matured. Instead, they persisted as a distinct branch of gunpowder technology, one that would resurface centuries later in European warfare. And, much later still, in the earliest ancestors of modern military and space rocketry. The story of gunpowder, in other words, doesn't just lead to the gun. It branches with one path heading toward
bruh.
the firearm and an entirely separate path
Man, this discovery didn't change the whole type of. Feel me? This shit influenced a whole lot of shit, bro.
Oh, bro, they took over Eurasia.
Bro, I'm just saying, just in the world, though, gunpowder used for a whole lot of shit, bro. That niggas don't even realize.
Gunpowder. Shout out Gunpowder, man.
Shout out gunpowder.
toward the rocket, both rooted in the same accidental discovery made by alchemists who wanted nothing to do with either outcome. From there, gunpowder technology spread outward along multiple overlapping routes simultaneously, reaching the Islamic world and eventually Europe. Through a combination of military contact, trade, and the broader wave of
Y'all giving the Muslims guns was a bad mistake, bro. Them niggas started tweaking, bro. Osama bin Laden took over.
To this day, them niggas still be tripping, bro.
Okay.
Them niggas should have never got them bitches.
Niggas seen the AK and said, yeah.
And it seemed like they got them bitches early on too, but I know them niggas was the one to really try to take this shit over the top, really start tweaking.
cultural exchange that characterized the 13th and 14th centuries. Historians studying this period point to a broader pattern worth appreciating. Gunpowder wasn't the only major Chinese invention making its way westward during this era. Paper, printing, and the magnetic compass all traveled the same general routes during roughly the same stretch of centuries, part of a much larger flow of technology and knowledge moving from east to west long before anyone had coined the term globalization. Some historians have noted that early European cannons bear such a close structural resemblance to Chinese designs that a direct transfer of knowledge seems considerably more plausible than independent invention happening to arrive at nearly identical solutions by coincidence. Once the technology reached Europe in the late 13th century, it landed in a political and military landscape that gunpowder weapons would, over the following centuries, completely and permanently transform, eventually dismantling systems of feudal military power that had stood for hundreds of years. The transformation wasn't instant. Early European hand cannons, much like their Chinese predecessors, were crude, slow to reload, and difficult to aim with any real precision.
Explosions too.
Essentially,
Niggas ain't never even heard of shit like that. All you hear is a big ass boom.
You loaded powder and projectile into the open end, touched a smoldering ember or a length of slow-burning cord to a small touch hole, and hoped with considerably more optimism than confidence that the resulting explosion would actually send the projectile somewhere useful. But even in this primitive form, the weapon carried a psychological and practical impact that traditional naval weapons simply couldn't match. Castle walls that had withstood traditional siege equipment for generations began falling to cannon fire. Mounted knights in heavy armor, the dominant military force across medieval Europe for centuries, found themselves increasingly vulnerable to a weapon that didn't care how much steel you were wearing, since enough gunpowder-driven force could punch straight through it regardless. The entire social and military order built around expensive, heavily armored cavalry began to wobble, because a relatively cheap weapon in the hands of a far less expensively trained soldier could now neutralize an opponent who had spent a lifetime and a fortune preparing for combat in the traditional way. This shift had consequences far beyond the battlefield itself, reshaping the very architecture of European warfare. As cannons grew steadily more powerful and increasingly effective against vertical stone walls, traditional castle design, built around tall, thin walls meant to repel scaling attackers and arrows, became dangerously obsolete almost overnight in historical terms. Military engineers responded by developing the Star Fort and the Bastion, lower, angled, thickly reinforced fortifications specifically designed to deflect and absorb cannon fire, rather than simply standing tall and hoping for the best. The medieval castle, an architectural form that had dominated European landscapes for centuries, was gradually replaced by structures that looked almost nothing like it, all because of a weapon that had originated half a world away in the hands of monks chasing immortality. The next genuinely important leap came in the late 15th century, with the invention of the matchlock mechanism. And this single development is what finally turned gunpowder weapons from clumsy novelties into the backbone of organized infantry warfare across the continent. The fundamental problem with earlier hand cannons was that actually firing
big ass gun, that be heavy as a bitch.
It's on the bazooka.
Two hands and considerable coordination. One hand to steady the weapon, the other to apply a burning ember or cord directly to the touch hole at exactly the right moment, all while trying to actually aim at a moving target on a chaotic battlefield. The matchlock mechanism solved this elegantly by attaching a slow-burning cord held in a curved clamp called a serpentine, directly to the weapon itself. Pulling the trigger lowered that already burning cord directly into a small pan of priming powder, igniting the main charge automatically and freeing the shooter to actually hold and aim the weapon with both hands, right up until the moment of firing. This may sound like a modest mechanical tweak, but it was genuinely transformative because it was the first mechanical firing device ever applied to a small arm and it allowed, for the first time in history, a single trained soldier to fire a gunpowder weapon with some real degree of aimed precision, rather than simply pointing roughly in the right direction and hoping for the best. By the early 15th century, matchlock arquebuses were appearing in growing numbers across Western Europe, particularly in Spain, France, and the territories of the Holy Roman Empire, and the weapon spread rapidly from there across the entire breadth of Eurasia. The Ottoman Empire...
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
Perfect.
And this is your brain
when you're in the zone. But getting in the zone and
How you doing? I'm chilling, son. How about you?
already experienced with. Gunpowder weaponry since the 14th century incorporated matchlocks directly into the elite Janissary Corps that formed the backbone of Ottoman military power, using the weapon to great effect in engagements such as the Battle of Goa in 1510 alongside the Portuguese forces that also relied heavily on matchlock weaponry during that same period. In 1543, Portuguese traders introduced matchlock technology to Japan, where local gunsmiths refined the design so thoroughly that Japanese matchlocks, known as Tanegashima, came to be regarded as some of the finest crafted firearms anywhere in the world during that period, prized for their precision and craftsmanship even by European observers. China itself, having started this entire chain of innovation centuries earlier, ended up reabsorbing an improved version of its own original invention, developing matchlock weapons known as birdie guns, specifically to counter ongoing Mongol incursions along its northern frontier.
You gotta put respect on China's name, bro.
These niggas, bruh.
Niggas been dissing their ass ever since
He basically gave them niggas the blueprint, bruh. Let them niggas do their shit, bruh. Figured out what they had going on. Took their idea and just advanced that shit on some crazy shit.
Guns run the world now, y'all.
These niggas gotta be stopped, bruh. And
Can you have guns in China?
Bro, no. But imagine the type of guns they probably got, though. They the most advanced fucking, like...
Nah, Australia took that shit and went crazy. Australia made Glock, nigga.
Okay, that's Austria.
It's Austria?
Right?
Australia.
Let's look it up. I'm pretty sure Austria made Glocks. Me and Noah was talking about this yesterday.
Let's say Australia.
An Austrian, yeah, it's in Austria.
Oh shit! Shout out Austria,
Facts, I knew it.
Yeah, Austria's in Europe, so facts. Eurasia, they're part of that shit. So they did have the blueprint, man, early on.
Imagine the guns these niggas got now, bro. I know they shit crazy. They probably got fully stable automatic guns.
Huh?
Imagine just shooting that bitch. That bitch don't move. Fully automatic.
Yeah, the army got that shit. They got fully auto pistols, fully auto Glock pistols. That's fully auto Glock pistols. We can't have them, but the military.
Bro, yeah, I'm already knowing, but fully stabilized though? You think that bitch fully stabilized?
What is stabilized?
I mean, that bitch don't move. Like, obviously, guns gonna have some kick, but like.
Oh yeah, they definitely got some of that. In the military. Now the military is lit if you're
not at war.
Oh, bro. You're having fun on your services.
I know by the time that shit really roll around, they're like, fuck, bro, really? I got a family in the military, man, and they told you stories.
For a technology that began as a failed immortality potion in that same general region. Matchlock muskets eventually became heavy, powerful enough to need a forked rest just to support the barrel while aiming, weighing as much as 25 pounds in some configurations, but capable of punching through plate armor at ranges that made traditional swords and pikes increasingly irrelevant on an open battlefield, because reloading and firing a matchlock took considerable time, and because the weapon left the user briefly vulnerable during that process, musketeers typically required protection from melee attacks, usually provided by pikemen standing alongside them. This combination of pikes and shot came to dominate European battlefields from the 16th into the early 17th century, an elaborate, carefully choreographed tactical system requiring extensive training to coordinate effectively with musketeers firing from...
Bro, imagine it being a nigga at war back in the day, they kick you up with a spear.
Nigga, if a nigga accidentally shoot you in your head, I know niggas was getting popped by that. Oh shit! What the fuck?
And you know, when war was traditional as fuck, it wasn't like niggas was standing behind, bro. Niggas are dead ass line up, bro. Just let niggas go.
Go! You trying to run it?
You get shot, niggas not moving, bro. You really in a line, like, bro. You really just watch the nigga next to you get dropped. You not moving.
That shit dumb.
Back in the day, war was stupid as a bitch. Like,
Or between rows of pikemen in tightly
Niggas just getting
organized
dropped just 'cause this
formations.
shit be
Outside
so
Europe,
stupid.
many armies that had adopted matchlocks retained their traditional formations
Hell
rather than
no, that
developing
can't
this
be
same
true.
dense,
them
disciplined
niggas was
infantry
pissed.
coordination, lacking either the resources or
Every
the
sword nigga wish they
specific
had a gun.
tactical incentives that
Yeah.
drove European armies toward this particular evolution in organized combined arms warfare. The matchlock had one obvious, persistent weakness that everyone using it understood immediately. It required an open, slow-burning flame at all times, which made it nearly useless in wet weather, gave away a soldier's position in darkness, and required constant management of burning cord even when nothing was happening on the battlefield at all. The solution arrived gradually, through several intermediate steps worth understanding. The wheel lock.
Every time you rip a slab pack,
damn,
makes you
bro.
an instant offer for your card based on its market value.
Developed in the early 16th century, used a spring-loaded wheel spinning rapidly against a piece of pyrite to generate sparks, eliminating the need for a constantly burning match entirely. This made wheel locks considerably more practical for cavalry who needed a weapon they could carry loaded and ready without tending an open flame while on horseback, and German mercenaries along with English cavalry units became particularly associated with this mechanism during the 16th and early 17th centuries. But wheel locks were expensive and mechanically complex to manufacture, which kept them from ever fully replacing the cheaper, simpler matchlock among ordinary infantry who continued carrying the older, more affordable design well into the following century, even as wealthier cavalrymen rode with the more advanced alternative. The true breakthrough came with the flintlock, generally credited to French gunsmith Morin Le Bourgeois, who developed the mechanism in its recognizable modern form around 1610 to 1615.
Where he
The
from?
flintlock used a spring-loaded hammer holding a piece of flint which struck a steel surface. The flintlock, recognizable modern French gunsmith Morin Le Bourgeois, who developed the mechanism in its recognizable modern form around 1610 to 1615. The flintlock used a spring-loaded hammer holding a piece of flint which struck a steel surface called a frizzen to generate sparks directly into the priming pan, igniting the charge.
Yeah.
It was faster to operate than a matchlock, dramatically more reliable in poor weather, and required no open flame to maintain at all, which also meant soldiers no longer
This nigga
gave away
changed the
their
game,
position
bruh.
simply by carrying a lit weapon.
Gotcha.
By the 1630s, the flintlock mechanism had spread rapidly across Europe, with the Dutch States Army among the first to formally adopt it as a standard-issue infantry weapon, and within a few decades it had become the dominant firearm mechanism across essentially every major European military, a position it would hold for roughly 2 centuries, right through the colonial expansion, the Napoleonic Wars, and the American Revolution that followed, where flintlock muskets carried by both colonial militias and British regulars defined the entire conflict from start to
I know they
finish.
used to hate when they used to
The
roll
flintlock
around, bro.
coincided with
Niggas come around
another
with crazy
genuinely
shit. They know
important
they shit get
innovation,
raided.
the socket bayonet introduced in the late 17th century, which attached around the outside of the barrel via a metal ring rather than plugging directly into the muzzle the way earlier plug bayonet designs had, which rendered the gun unable to fire while the bayonet was actually attached. This seemingly small change meant a soldier could fix a bayonet to his musket and still fire it normally, combining ranged firepower and close combat capability in a single weapon for the first time. The practical effect was enormous. Armies no longer needed dedicated pikemen standing alongside their musketeers for protection, since every soldier carrying a flintlock and bayonet could now function as both shooter and spearman, depending on what the moment required. This
that's
single
something that's
shooter.
unfair.
What you mean, bro?
Bro, OD niggas with the John and guns, bro. You know these niggas getting overpowered, bro. What?
Nigga, they gon' kill all the gunmen. Come in. Should load that bitch back up. Shoot through his body. They got the double power.
Shit. I don't know. I feel like most niggas would be able to take this shit down. Reloading even back in the
Depending
day
on what the
wasn't
moment required.
that quick. Like, it
This
still takes
single
some time.
combined development, sometimes called the infantry revolution, simplified training, simplified logistics, and fundamentally reshaped how European armies organized themselves on the battlefield, allowing regiments to become more versatile and capable of engaging enemies at range or in close combat without needing to reorganize entirely between the two modes of fighting. The bayonet charge also carried its own distinct psychological weight on the battlefield, since the sight of an advancing line of soldiers with fixed bayonets often broke enemy morale before a single shot or thrust ever actually connected. The flintlock's roughly 2-century reign finally ended in the early 19th century with the arrival of the percussion cap system, a small metal cap containing a shock-sensitive chemical compound that ignited instantly when struck by a hammer, eliminating the need for loose priming powder, flint, and steel entirely. This final ignition innovation rendered every flint when struck by a hammer, eliminating the...
Did they say what specific time zone this was? Do you remember?
Go back.
The flintlock's roughly 2-century reign finally ended in the early 19th century with the arrival of the percussion cap system.
Okay, in the early 19th century. This damn near what changed the game for guns too, bruh.
Okay.
This damn near similar model to what we got right now.
Nigga. And now the nigga who made the FRTs that make that shit go way faster.
Yeah, cause like bro, bro, this is basically the model that we got for guns now, bro. This nigga changed the game. Whoever made this shit, we've been rocking with the same gun system since the 19th century, twin.
We need a new weapon, bro.
I know we do need some stupid shit, bro. Like, not even just we do need a new weapon. New, just like new gun system and all. Like, take away the pin.
No,
just
we got murder drones now.
No, bro.
Cap containing a shock-sensitive chemical compound that ignited instantly when struck by a hammer, eliminating the need for loose priming powder, flint, and steel entirely. This final ignition innovation rendered every previous mechanism, matchlock, wheel lock, and flintlock alike, essentially obsolete within a few decades, and it marked the last major milestone in the centuries-long chain of refinements that had begun with monks chasing immortality in 9th century China. From there, the pace of change only accelerated, leading toward repeating rifles, rapid advances in metallurgy and manufacturing, and eventually weapons that would have been utterly unrecognizable to the soldiers who once stood in disciplined lines with pikes and matchlocks, waiting for their turn to fire. Looking back across this entire arc, from a Taoist alchemy lab in 9th century China to flintlock muskets dominating European battlefields nearly 8 centuries later, the story of how humans invented guns is really a story about accident, accumulation, and migration happening together over an enormous span of time. Nobody set out on day one to invent the firearm. A group of monks looking for immortality stumbled onto an explosive chemical reaction and very nearly burned their own beards off in the process. Military engineers watching that explosive reaction gradually realized its violence could be channeled. First through a tube strapped to a spear, then through a cast bronze cylinder, then through increasingly sophisticated mechanical systems designed to ignite that same basic chemical reaction more reliably, more quickly, and with less risk to the person holding the weapon. Each individual improvement, the shift from bamboo to bronze, from open flame to spring-loaded mechanism, from matchlock to flintlock, addressed a specific practical problem that soldiers and engineers had actually encountered using the version that came before it. None of it required some singular genius moment of total invention. It required centuries of incremental refinement, carried across continents by trade routes, military campaigns, and the kind of slow cultural exchange that quietly reshapes the world while nobody's watching closely enough to notice it happening in real time, passing hands between Chinese engineers, Mongol conquerors, Ottoman janissaries, Japanese gunsmiths, and European craftsmen, each group adding their own refinements along the way. The gun that would eventually end the dominance of mounted knights, reshape castle architecture, and ultimately determine the outcome of colonial conquests and continental wars across multiple centuries began its existence as a mistake, made by people who were never trying to build a weapon at all, looking instead for something considerably more peaceful, a way to live forever.
Man,
A little video. And the animation was clean.
Facts, I did fuck with that. But man, shit, we gotta give our credits to China, man.
I'm about to shout out to China, man.
Them niggas did do their shit, but we can't give them full credit though. Can't Cause them niggas did pass. I mean, shit. Now we damn near do it, cause they did pass it along. I feel like you think if they didn't pass that shit on,
bro.
you don't think if that shit got passed on? No, because you heard that they said that they passed it along.
Nah, who got that shit from the monks?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Nigga was like, give that shit up.
you think if they didn't pass it along, that shit would be like advanced as quick as it did? You think China would have just did it themselves? Advanced guns fast as fuck by themselves?
I mean, people already have the formula for fucking fireworks. If you can just, you smart, you can follow from there, bro.
Okay. It is true. I ain't gonna lie, I don't think guns would have advanced as fast if they had passed them along, bro. Cause you see fucking China, like, bro, they had to wait for like somebody else to build their blueprint on a different type of gun. So they receive that bitch back and be like, oh yeah, let's just put this little capsule in that bitch and then do that. Them niggas not thinking like that.
That's why networking is good, bro. These videos teach you lessons.
Shit, son. It is true, bro.
Bro, we definitely got some more videos for y'all. And if you go to chat, send a video through.